Hey guys, this is Nathan from Bagelpop, and I just want to give you fair warning. We're going to spoil pretty much everything. So yeah, you've been warned.
Alright guys, and we have just watched the second episode of Parasyte, and yeah, that was interesting. Um, we start off with there's a lot of rape apparently that is going on in Japan. As some that poor girl was about to get raped by three dudes, and then get saved, and then we find out that the guy who saves him is actually a parasite. So instead of getting raped, she is gonna get eaten. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so she's having a bad day. She should just
yeah,
stayed home that day.
yeah. Fuck, man, it's just tough being anybody in Japan these days. Apparently, just aliens and
See, what a
rape
roller
or
coaster of emotion. Like the fear of getting raped, and then like the relief of getting saved and being escorted back, and then fear again on the
of
hooligans
death.
caught up,
Yeah.
and then you realized your savior is a psycho alien that wants to eat you, and then the absolute terror of that right before you get beheaded. So that sucks.
What I don't get is why when he like punched the thugs and he's just like, I'll walk you home. And she's just like, oh, it's totally safe to walk home with this stranger who just punched other strangers.
Well,
Like that makes no sense to me. I
Well,
would just be
rest-
running.
Well, I mean, like, if I
I'll
was
still
about
call
to
the
be, if
cops.
I was a girl and I was about to be raped, and the person that, like, I would just be shell shocked, and I would just
Yeah.
be thankful that this person saved me and was like, hey, let's get out of here. I would have followed him. I probably wouldn't have thought too much
But
about
he
it.
was just like, I'll walk you home. That's
Yeah.
And she's like, okay.
Yeah.
I would have at least called like 911 and like fucking get these guys arrested.
Like he wasn't compassionate at all. So why would she follow him?
He's
Uh,
like, I will escort you home now.
Tommy, that is victim blaming mentality. You're essentially saying she was asking to be eaten.
Yes.
And that is not the correct way of you can't look at it. You
Yes.
can't victim blame Tommy. It's not right.
So
It's not right.
rules of boxing: protect yourself at all times. She did not.
Well, she was not on Terra for Mars. Like she was not aware of her surroundings. But yeah, essentially, but I thought it was really interesting because it demonstrates like how far they've come. This guy has matured in the brain of a human, and he was really smart because he saw the opportunity to win his victims' favor, to kind of lure them into a false sense of security, and then he strategically, brings her to a place where hopefully he can eat her in, what's the word I'm looking for? Solitude, or basically
Yeah,
like
solitude.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
away from prying eyes.
yeah, away from prying eyes. So it was a really smart move. Unfortunately, he gets caught up by the hooligans, and that kind of blows out his plan. But if you think about it from like a chess perspective, like he thought so many moves ahead. So we know that these guys are really, really smart now. The more that they
Yeah,
mature.
like they went from like not being able to speak and going from like a almost baby-like intelligence to that level of intelligence of ambushing in like 2 days. This is assuming they all landed on the planet at the same time.
Yeah.
But
I
they're
I think it's more on how fast or how fast they're getting accustomed and how fast they're learning.
yeah, their
Because
capacity is insane.
because Migi, the hand, was reading a bunch of books, was it?
Yeah, all his textbooks. Yeah,
Yeah, all of his textbooks and stuff like that. So I guess if you're exposed to different things, then you would learn faster.
Yeah. They don't seem to be analogs to each other. They all develop in kind of their own way, and they all kind of have different priorities. Because you can, when he defeats the dog in the first episode, he's like, "Oh, that one neglected his studies." Like Miggy tries to get as much, he tries to educate himself as much as possible, as quickly as
As you see
possible.
later on in the episode.
Yeah. Also, he names himself. He names himself Mickey. If you missed that tidbit, Austin,
oh yeah, yeah.
which in
What is?
Japanese is hand. Essentially, he
Oh,
named himself Hand. Maybe an English equivalent of like, I'm just gonna name myself Hand.
So I'm gonna name my dog Dog.
Yeah, essentially is pretty much what he did, and then as we advance the episode, we see that our main protagonist, Azumi, is taking advantage of his newfound talented right hand, and he's like doing really well in basketball, and it kind of I don't know, attracts the favor of his childhood sweetheart, who he groped in the previous episode, but still kind
By
of
making
butthurt
it
over it.
rain with basketball buckets.
Yeah, making it rain with buckets. He was like Steph Curry out there, and also attracts the ire of a romantic rival in one of the boys, who also has a thing for his childhood friend.
Also
And
has
then-
mad anger management issues. Very inclined to violence.
Oh, come on, he's a teenager. I mean, people.
I did not get in that never happened to me when I was a teenager.
Austin, we do we have to go over this? You don't follow people in stories or anime that are have
Well-adjusted
good
individuals,
well-adjusted individuals.
like Japan, that's full of rapists and murderers.
We're always going to follow like extremes of people, and especially like high school. Above all, it was probably even more uncivil than most. But anyway, so essentially, he's like putting stuff away in the rec room, and then his childhood friend comes up and is like, "Oh, hey," and he apologizes profusely about grabbing her tit. And she's like, "All right, I'll forgive you. She take me out to pancakes." And I was like, "Ooh, smooth move right there," because she not only got the apology, she also got she arranged the date for him, because I think she kind of knows that he's a bit of a pussy. So he does that.
She took the initiative.
Yeah, and then he, after she leaves. She's about to leave, and then he has like a small conversation with Miggy, and then she comes back like, "Who are you talking to?" And it's like, "Oh no, I'm just talking to myself." And it was like, "Are you Shineki? Shineki? How do you pronounce his name?"
Shinki.
Shinki.
No, there is no Nikki.
Okay.
It's Shinki.
Shinki.
There's no
Shinki. I'm just gonna call him Azumi. So I was like, "Are you the real Azumi?" And then he's like, "Yeah." And I thought that was really interesting to note, but that'll come back later in the episode.
What a strange question to ask.
Yeah, and then she's like, "Okay, I'll see you for pancakes," and she leaves. And then we find out that Miggy consents that it's like, "Oh, you wanted to mate with this one," and then it was like, "What?" It was like,
bang.
yeah, it was like, "You do want to mate with that female, don't you?" And it was like, it would be interesting to me to figure out, like, to kind of gather more information on human sexuality. And he's like, "Oh, no," and then he gets
Didn't
across.
Miggy turned into a penis?
Did he?
Yeah, that one flash. You see, that's like a silhouette. That's why I said, like, did he turn into what I think? And that's why he freaked out with his hand.
No,
That shit
I
blew
think
me away.
I don't think so. I think that's just the form that they just look like a blob.
I'm gonna rewatch that real quick or later on, but I think that's what the outline was for like half a second. But anyways,
Yeah, and then he gets accosted by the rival boy, and basically, like, there's a little bit of a tension, but Miggy eventually just one-shots him in the face. Yeah.
the first thought that came to my head when I saw that too was, you guys seen Friday, right?
So you got
movie
knocked the fuck
Friday?
out?
Yeah, it's like Chris Tucker standing over, you got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, pretty much. But I think there's more tension that, like, oh, Miggy's about to murder this person. But we can see that Miggy's pretty smart. He knows that he can't kill it, otherwise it would bring way too much suspicion to the type of situation. So, we advance it to... I think he's just like in the street, and then he senses that one of him is near, like one of his kind is near. Right?
Yeah, they can sense each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, no. Even before this, they have a conversation back at his apartment about, like, there's so many people being killed, and you can see that Azumi is having a lot of guilt about it, because he feels the burden of, he knows this information, and this information can possibly save people, and by him not doing anything, he's essentially, it's falling on his head that these people keep on dying, and he's starting to feel the guilt over it. And he he essentially like says that like we should do something about this, and then Miggy is just like, we're not gonna do shit about it. The only person I'm looking out for is myself. It's me, and if you like go and tell people, like, I'm just not gonna let you. I can also blind you and amputate you, so that this won't be an issue.
I'll cut your tongue out, blind you, and rip your ears out.
Yeah, it was like, and then he just like turns into like the fucking like knife things, and was like, I do that to you. I can do it. I can fucking do it to you. I sense a lot of fear. I can sense your hormones in your body, and you're
Your
really
extreme
extremely
terror.
in terror right now. All right, I'm gonna go sleep.
Also, I relooked it. He definitely turned into a penis for a second.
Yeah. I think I saw a still of that.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah, and essentially like and then he meets up. He senses like he senses the one of his kind is stalking him, and they have some telepathic link. They can sense each other, and Azumi leads him away from prying eyes into like a construction area, and then confronts him, and then the other parasite like unravels his head, and he has a conversation with Miggy and says that like, oh, I see you matured in the arm. That sucks for you, but you can, if you want, like, you can mature in. Apparently, if you mature in the arm, you can't go from the arm to another brain, but you can go from like another arm to another arm. And he cuts off like his own arm and says, "Hey, we can both live in this body."
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a gamble. Like, we don't know. We actually don't know, and that's kind of the reasoning of why Miggy doesn't go in the end. Is us like, this guy, the parasite says that like, oh, this human knows about us. He's a threat. We should kill him, and then you can live in my body, and then we can actually be more OP if we both live together.
Yeah.
And then he says, "You're taking too long. I'll just cut off his head, and then you won't have any choice." And then Miggy acts and ends up killing the parasite super efficiently. And
Miggy's like a naturally better fighter than that one.
Me and Tommy had a discussion. I don't think that he was just a naturally better fighter. I think it's because the parasite underestimated that Miggy would side with a human. Like, he just assumed that he would, like, oh, you can go into side with another parasite. And because Miggy was unsure if he could transport himself from one arm to the other, that he ultimately like just killed the other parasite.
He went for the safe option, kind of.
Yeah, the safer, logical option. And the other parasite, like, the only logical thing is for him to side with me. You know?
Yeah.
Which I think, like, he was really offering... Because we don't know. We don't know if you can actually jump from hand to hand. I don't know if they're capable
subterfuge yet.
Yeah, we don't know. But I think because he was so open to that attack, it kind of gives it away that it is possible. Like, that's why he was so open.
And he was so surprised, like, when they actually, like, you cut me off my body. How could you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was really interesting. So, but I think in the future, like, I think there's going to be an opportunity for Mickey to jump from one body to another. But we'll see. And then we go on, and it also I think a big thing to note is that all the fear that he experienced beforehand, when like Miggy was like, "I'm gonna fucking cut your eyes out" and stuff. When he enters into the construction zone, Miggy is like, "I don't sense any of the fear in you, and this is a lot more dangerous situation than you were with me."
Yeah.
And then we can see that while he is kind of cowardly, that he starts when it comes to protecting others. Like, he has a very strong protective nature.
Yeah,
and that
a bit of a hero complex, but it worked in his favor.
Yeah, and that like supersedes like his feelings of fear, and you can see him kind of grow as a character and kind of be more brave, which is kind of refreshing. And there's a lot of anti-heroes in modern day media that are just a bunch of pussies, so it was pretty refreshing to see. But alas, I think that was really interesting to note. And then we see the date where he's eating pancakes and stuff. And then, but a lot of interesting, I mean, it's just a really cutesy date, in general. And then we see, that, he gets into he confronts a couple of these bullies. So we further see this hero complex of they buried a kitten in a sand pit, which like first off, that I felt like that was the most improbable improbable thing in this episode, because I was like, if you've ever experienced a cat in real life, there's no fucking way you're getting that cat buried to its neck in sand
No.
and not just getting your hands and face just totally destroyed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's not even possible. But they're like throwing rocks at this cat's head. In Japan, who has like the best video games in the world, come on, guys. Not that fun. But yeah, he stands up to a bunch of these like kid bullies, and he does like this cool like move where he's not even looking, and he catches like these 3 rocks and stuff.
Yeah, they chuck a rock at the back of his head like cowards. He's just like, "Fuck you, I got him."
Yeah, and it's just more confirming that he's has a really strong hero complex, and totally kind of turns his childhood friend on. Like, yeah.
That
I'm
was weird.
badass.
That moment he kind of went like, "Do you want me to eat you?" It's like, is he saying that just to scare him, or is that some kind of influence?
Yeah, was that
Like
a
he
note?
went like
Yeah.
like devil mode on a second to
Oh,
intimidate him.
that is kind of interesting. Does that mean that Miggy has a little bit of influence on his brain a little bit? We don't know. But essentially, but more interesting stuff happens after, because she's holding his right hand as they're walking down the street, and then she looks down at his right hand and then switches over to his left.
Which is still human as far as we know.
Yeah, no, it is human. It's
It
just
is human,
only his right
yeah.
hand.
So
But,
that's like, why?
why did she do that? And then at the very end of the episode, as they're walking, she asks again, "Are you the real Izumi?" So I think all these things. I mean, you just don't show this shit for no reason. You know, it's very very clear that that she knows something.
She knows something.
Yeah, we just don't know what.
She knows.
Yeah, and then the episode ends with a naked woman and a naked man who
Are
we can
both
only assume are
parasites, yeah.
parasites, and they're kind of staring at each other, and it looks like they're about to get busy. I don't know. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, the atmosphere though was like very scientific and very clinical. Like they're experimenting with human reproduction is the vibe I got from it.
When me and Tommy watched this, full disclosure, guys, we did not watch all of this at the same time. I was supposing that this is not unlike the fear of what a lot of people fear Mexicans about. And that if you think about it, they're aliens, they're illegal aliens, a different type of aliens that come over into then invade American soil or native soil for us, or in Tokyo in this case, and then they have children that are nationalized in America, right? And then those children, if you have like enough of those children, you have a big enough like Latin population, you have children that have the power to vote, and thus you have influence on America. And that's kind of like what I was theorizing is like, oh, what if that's like their end game plan is they infiltrate and then they like reproduce, and then like the people who like their children that they reproduce can assimilate into the culture, and then they have influence and stuff.
You're probably right on that, but it's much more simple than the whole Mexican illegal alien taking over the country analogy. It's just like
I know. I'm not saying it's a real thing. I'm just saying
Mexicans
that's
want
like
to take over the world.
I'm just saying that's like it's like the same fear.
Racist.
It's like the same fear that like right wings like have of like Mexicans, like they're coming in, they're taking our jobs, their kids are taking all our welfare.
Did you watch South Park before this or something?
No, I forgot what we were talking about that inspired this, but I thought it was like a funny analog.
It is a funny analog. But also, yeah, I was wondering. I think during the episode, I said like, how many are there, and how if they can reproduce this way, we don't know yet, but if they can, it makes them kind of more in trouble, because before if there's only a certain number and they can't reproduce, every time you kill one, it's like you're actually making a dent. But if they can take human hosts and then use their human reproductive system to produce more of their like the invasive form of them, like the little worm forms, they could really, really start spreading like pandemic style.
Yeah, like, and I thought that would be really interesting. Maybe like these parasite human hybrids don't need to eat other humans, per se. Is there a bigger end game than, oh, we're just gonna drop these things here and then they're gonna eat other humans? Like, yeah, that doesn't seem like the smartest plan in the world.
Yeah.
You know, like someone's gonna know that something's up eventually. So, it was a really interesting premise, and oh, we totally glanced over this. My favorite part on the episode is
Which part?
fucking Azumi's taking a piss,
Oh.
and then fucking Mickey is like, hey, I'm gonna cause an erection for you right now.
I'm curious. I need more data.
I need more data. And then there's like a guy like 3 stalls down while he's taking a piss, like, not now, not now, not now, stop, Mickey. And then
it's like,
yeah,
it's
then he's like, it's cold. And then the other guy's like, dude, why are you talking to your dick? Oh god. I think while I was watching this with Tommy and like he was Viggy's jerking him off while he's taking a piss. I was like, Tommy, this is the greatest anime I've ever watched in my life. The greatest.
We called it too. I think we were just joking around at the beginning of the episode. We were saying something how it was like, oh man, Miki's totally going to jerk him off or something. He's going to have the greatest hand job or something. And then it actually happened.
Yeah. We were just making the joke because the first time it's like, oh no, it's like he's lost his right hand. And then it's like he's never going to be able to jerking off will never be the same again. Or it'll be the best thing ever. And then he actually fucking happens in the episode. I'm like, oh my god, they can never get away with this on American television. It's so
no way.
Yeah, it was so fun. But yeah, there's so many questions, and I got really hooked after this episode if I wasn't already hooked on the first episode. So we're going to go ahead. I think we're going to end it here and go into the next episode now.
Yay.